Peace on earth. It's a phrase you see and hear everywhere this time of year. Yet too often, peace feels painfully elusive. It's hard to find inner peace when we are busy, stressed, dreading challenging interactions with family or friends, missing loved ones who are absent, or coping with anything else that makes Christmas just not like we wish it could be. There is something about this season that magnifies pain and loneliness, stress and worry, just as much as it gives us opportunities to grab hold of joy and delight and to celebrate with the people we love. Furthermore, you don't have to look beyond the headlines in the news to see that our world is not a very peaceful place. Our world is filled with war and tragedy. Just like in Israel so long ago when a foreign overlord ordered a census and Mary and Joseph had to begin a very long journey, millions of people are displaced when the powers that be do crazy things like order censuses or bombing raids, house demolitions, or harassment. Too often, peace seems like something we dream about rather than experience. And this year, our Advent theme has invited us to keep it real. And part of keeping it real is acknowledging that many of us here this morning probably don't feel very peaceful. And that even among those who feel peaceful right here, right now, in the context of this holy space, that for most of us there will be moments when we don't feel peaceful between now and the end of the Christmas season on January 6th. For most of us, at least some of the time, stress and Christmas go hand in hand. So how then do we find peace at Christmas time? What would it take for us to make peace with our Christmas just exactly as it is? In a Christmas sermon several decades ago, Dom Christian de Chargé, the prior of a Trappist monastery in Algeria, reflected on what he called the 5 pillars of peace: patience, poverty, presence, prayer, and pardon. Dom Christian de Chargé and his brothers might be considered heroes in the work of making peace under difficult circumstances. Their peacemaking work required a level of faith and self-sacrifice that I hope none of us are ever called upon to offer. The monastery of Our Lady of Atlas is located near a village called Tribiherne in Algeria. The abbey was founded in 1938, and throughout the years it offered a clear witness to how Christians and Muslims could live beside one another with mutual respect and kindness. The monks were very highly regarded by their Muslim neighbors and vice versa. However, when civil war broke out in Algeria, the monks faced a very difficult choice. Do they return to Europe where they will be safer, or stay with the community they had come to love? They decided to stay, knowing full well how dangerous that was. And in March of 1996, Dom Christian and 6 other monks were kidnapped by extremists, and 2 months later they were beheaded. De Chargé, knowing that such an outcome was entirely possible, left behind a letter with his mother in France to be opened in the event of his death, forgiving his kidnappers and praying that his death would be used to build peace and not inflame tensions. He actually referred to his executioner as his last-minute friend and commended him to God, in whose face I see yours. Clearly, this was a man who knew something about building peace, both inner peace and peace with his neighbors, even under very difficult circumstances. So let's take a moment today to consider the 5 elements of his Christmas sermon and how we might apply them to our own Christmas. The first is patience. In a world of instant gratification and low tolerance for frustration, patience is a challenging practice to embrace. Yet if we can be patient, there is more room in our lives for joy and for peace. How often does something go awry in our lives or just take longer than we think it should? And we make things even more difficult for ourselves and others by getting all bent out of shape about it. For me, that happens even faster when I'm tired or stressed already. I can go from just fine to flustered and frazzled in no time flat. Yet if we can remember to breathe and slow down and allow things to unfold as they unfold, we will have more inner peace, and those around us will experience more peace in interacting with us as well. We don't know what they were feeling inside, of course, but I don't think it could have been easy in a tough situation for Mary and Joseph, and I don't know that it would have made it easier for them if they had got all bent out of shape that the stable wasn't an inn. The second is poverty. In a culture that tells us to want more and more and more, especially at Christmas, practicing poverty means asserting that sometimes less is more. Simplifying our plans, saying no when we need to, buying less, cooking less food, reducing our expectations. All of these can help us to find more peace. Remember, the Christmas story doesn't happen in a palace, it happens in a barn. It's not about the presents, or the heavily laden food table, or the fancy decorations. Absolutely, if those things bring you joy, then do some of them. However, we need to remember that none of them are critical to a happy Christmas. As Dr. Seuss reminds us in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling, how could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. The third pillar is presence. And there is no greater gift than we can give to the people we love than being fully present with them this Christmas. Yet in a world full of distractions, being fully present right here, right now, often requires us to exercise discipline. We may need to put away our cell phones, and if you can see it, it's going to distract you. Turn off the computer. We may need to allow our worries to fall to the ground like gently falling snowflakes. We might need to release our regrets and unchain ourselves from our fears. We may need to stop doing so that there's time and space to just be. I truly hope that after their long journey to Bethlehem and the child's birth under challenging circumstances, that Mary and Joseph had a moment to simply gaze at their newborn. And I hope this Christmas that you have a moment to just be with the people you love. The fourth pillar is prayer. And prayer doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to mean saying prayers, although it can. What prayer means for me in the Christmas season is being attentive to the holy and looking for it. In freshly fallen snow, in the Advent candles lit on my dinner table, in Christmas lights and decorations, in the faces of the people I meet, in kindnesses offered. Like Dom Christian, who prayed that he would be able to see the face of God, even in the person who killed him, we are able to find fuller peace if we look for God's presence everywhere. In Ralph Milton's interpretation of the Christmas story from Luke, he ends with Mary and Joseph saying what is perhaps the simplest yet most profound prayer. Thank you. And I think our Christmas will be more peaceful if we can pray that prayer often from the depths of our heart. Thank you. The fifth and final pillar is pardon. Pardon is another word for forgiveness. Pardon helps us to let go of what has happened in the past and to free ourselves from regrets and resentments that get in the way of finding peace today. We need to pardon ourselves when we mess up or when we don't live up to our own expectations. We also need to pardon others for hurting or disappointing us, whether intentionally or not. A note of caution is in order, however. Practicing pardon does not mean that we don't set boundaries. Sometimes we talk about forgiveness in ways that end up re-victimizing people or encouraging people to put up with situations which are life-denying for them or others. While it does help us to find peace if we can release the pain of the past, sometimes in order to do that, we need to decide not to invite someone to Christmas dinner or to ask for changes that we need in order to be safe in a particular situation. Pardoning others does not mean we're required to submit to ongoing abuse in the name of family harmony. However, to the degree that it is possible in our lives without putting ourselves or others in danger, either physically or spiritually, pardon frees us to experience deeper peace. In fact, pardon frees the person who pardons more than it frees the person who is pardoned, although it can be freeing for both. Again, we don't know what the inner experience of Mary and Joseph was that Christmas long ago, but I cannot imagine that staying furious at Caesar for ordering the census, or the innkeeper for denying them a room, or God for allowing them to be in such a challenging circumstance would have made the situation any better. I think these 5 pillars provide us with a valuable starting place to allow peace to grow. Okay, we're several slides ahead. I'll come and help you at the end. Just turn it back. Yeah, okay, pardon. Now one more slide. Okay, at peace with what is, right? Okay, I think these 5 pillars provide us with a valuable starting place to allow peace to grow in us this Christmas in real ways. Practice patience, choose poverty, be present, remember to pray, and share pardon with yourself and others. We won't get it perfect. You will note that perfect is not one of the 5 P's here. But if we try, then perhaps we will discover more peace for ourselves and others this Christmas, so that we can join our hearts more fully to the angel chorus, who proclaim peace on earth, goodwill to all. Thanks be to God.